Hey, this is Damien from ODP, and I just wanted to take a minute before we fire up on the interview with Kevin about Warped Tour to answer some of the submitted questions that we get most often, and that is, how do I get my band on Warped Tour? We've done this conversation with Kevin several times every year for the past couple of years with Kevin, and the answer is this. If you want to get your band on Warped Tour, or if you want to get your band on Mayhem, you need to be able to say, hey, we got a draw here, and you have to have a real draw. You have to be able to fill a room or fill the spot from the stage. You have to have moved product. You've had to have toured quite a bit so you have a name. That's what they're looking for, is people that will help offset the door. They do look for other bands that are good enough and stuff like that, but the biggest thing is you need to be able to say, hey, I got 4,000 people that follow me everywhere I go. So you need to tour. You need to play shows. The other way to get on Warped or to get on Mayhem Fest is you can get on the Ernie Ball Battle of the Bands or whatever like contest there is. Or you can submit your music to kevinwarped@aol.com, and him and his partners will listen to it. And if they have something that fits, you might get your shot. But the biggest thing we tell them, we want to see everybody succeed in their musical dreams. You have to play. You have to play, you have to play, you have to play. You have to get out there and really push your live show. You have to work hard. Nobody is going to hand you anything in this world. If you want to get out there and you want to play shows, you have to play the best music you can possibly write and put on the best stage show you can every single time, whether you're playing in front of 4 people or 4 billion. So we hope you enjoyed today's show. If you have any other questions that weren't asked during the show, chances are it's because we've covered them on one of the several other ones that we did, and you can check those out at obscurus.com on the ODP radio link. Thanks. Hope you enjoyed today's show.
ODP Radio proudly presents another 15 minutes. Discussions on music and the state of the art with the people and bands of the front lines of the industry and deep in the trenches of the underground scene. Brought to you by O.D.Productions. Live concert production and musician services for Michigan and the Midwest since 1986. Also brought to you by Verdio.net and Volunteer Records and Recording Studios, Traverse City, Michigan. Now here's your host, Damian Allen.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of Another 15 Minutes here on ODP Radio. It's the end of February, so that means we're once again having a chat with our buddy over there in California, Mr. Kevin Lyman. Good morning, Kevin. How you doing?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing fine, sir.
It goes quick. It seems like we just spoke, the years go quicker.
It just gets closer and closer and closer, and with so much going on, Fort Feeney's involved in so many projects. And right now we're here to talk about Warped Tour, and that's coming up. This is the 20th year, correct?
Yeah, 20th year, and it's interesting. People are always, well, it looks like 19. I go, well, you always count that first summer. Unlike birth, that first someone counted, First taking was the first one. So we're getting ready to go out on our 20th adventure around the country.
As this is now 2 decades into it, anything special for this year to commemorate getting 20 years? I mean, that's amazing. Most tours don't make it this far. What led to the longevity of this fest, and what's special for this year?
Well, really, looking, we're always trying to look forward as a tour, what we're doing this year and the next 5 years down the road. But the one thing we are doing to kind of pay tribute to the past is Lisa Johnson, who's actually photographed all 20 years of the Warped Tour, 19 of them, and she'll be out there this summer, of course. We're creating a traveling road museum of her photos to be out on the road. And it's really cool. She's got all the iconic shots you've seen on the Side One Dummy sampler, or the sampler we put out. You've seen her photos and used all over the world in Kerrang! Magazine and AP Magazine. Everyone's had a Lisa Johnson photo in them, and she's actually created this unique tent and experience that's going to come out on the road. And beyond that, it's just like looking forward. I don't want to talk a lot about the past anymore. I've decided that's the past, and it's always constantly looking how we're going to move forward. With
this year, are you looking at more dates, less dates?
We've actually added a couple dates back in. We're heading over to Nashville, which it just popped up on the routing that we were going to take a day off there, or we could take a day off there. So I said, let's go there. And we found a fairgrounds, and last time we were there, even 5 years, and talk about a dynamic city. That city is changing by the minute. It's not a country town anymore. It's a music town. That's the cool thing now there. So when we were there, last time we had, Paramore was like our big name from Nashville, and we struggled in that market. So we hadn't been back in a few years, and we're playing the fairgrounds, and it's one of our top-selling shows in the Southeast now already at this point. It's selling very well. We added Sacramento back in. So we've added Montreal back in, eliminated. So we're up back into 3 new cities, and we're also added this Road to Warped Tour show up in Anchorage, Alaska this
In Anchorage?
year. Yeah, it's not the whole package and everything, but we're kind of trying to figure out how to take the Warped brand to places that we can't bring the whole show. So we packaged up 6 bands. There'll be a bunch of local bands. There'll be a skateboard ramp, and we're going to have the show up in Anchorage, and it gives a chance for the bands all to get a chance to go up there and play.
Now covering are you guys going to Hawaii by any chance soon?
Oh, well, I don't know. Hawaii is one of those places. We used to do Hawaii on Warped Tour on our way back from Australia and Japan. It's been a few years, and, it's one of my favorite places to vacation. But, there could be maybe. It's exciting right now. Warped Tour, there's a whole new generation of kids coming to the show. They're very supportive of what we're doing. And if we can figure out how to get there, there's no reason we can't.
We've got all over the United States, up into Canada, up into Alaska. You're doing a European leg after the run here. Any word on the cruise this year? Will there be a Warped cruise as well?
No, I don't think there'll be a Warped cruise. It's interesting, the dynamics of what works as a cruise. That we're a little lower demographic than those kind of all-themed cruises that are out there, the Weezer cruise. Even the Paramore Fall Out Boy cruise is probably trying to appeal to that person that got turned on to them when they first started, or someone parents can bring their kids out there.
Mm-hmm.
So, I just don't think a cruise is in the works right now.
Well, as always, we have the ability for the kids to ask questions. One of the kids wants to know who really decides what bands play and what's the deciding factors for your headliners for Warped Tour.
Well, I like to say you guys decide who plays. Actually, I'm just a curator. I get the final word, though, okay? But you guys let us know who you want to see. And, I've talked to all the bands that I'm seeing that the kids are asking for that won't be on the tour. We have those discussions each year. And, they may have different plans. Some of them have to go spend more time in Europe. Some of them decided not to tour this summer. They've got to write a record. I know where's Pierce the Veil? Where's Pierce the Veil? Of course I talked to Pierce the Veil about doing Warped Tour. We love those guys. But, they've got to go write a record this summer and record a record. So, there's bands you won't see, but, I'm working under a tight budget to keep these ticket prices where they are with the number of people on the road. So we put together the best thing. But ultimately, it comes down to, me saying who's going to get an offer.
Well, and we'll segue that right into the next question. Terry Allen asks, Warped has always been known as the affordable punk rock tour. As it's grown in production costs for the tour each year, thus the ticket prices had to increase a little bit. But he wonders, with the added revenues from Warped's documentaries and television programs like Warped Roadies, will any of that money be recycled towards lower ticket prices and put Warped back where it was before it became, quote, super corporate and a little more punk added?
What revenues? That would be my... If she knows where those revenues came from or where they are, let me know.
Right.
Those movies have never turned a dollar profit. They never have.
We've been enjoying Warped Roadies an awful lot, and another one of the questions asked was, how does one become a Warped Roadie?
Well, Warped Roadies, it's interesting because, when you look at a TV show like that, it wouldn't spin off a lot of revenues the way it's structured. We use it basically as a marketing tool for the next summer. We're hoping... I wish there was, man. If she knows how to make money off of these things, send her over to my office. I'm always taking interns. And she can help me how to recycle that money, because if there was truckloads of money outside my parking lot, I would love to recycle it.
Wouldn't we all?
I figured out how to make a living in the music business for almost 35 years or 33 years or so now, and but I really, the one thing, if everyone thought I was taking advantage of them, these bands wouldn't be on our tour.
Indeed.
And if you compare this to other shows, you can go to the House of Blues and pay the same amount as a Warped Tour ticket, and we're delivering you 9 hours at $80. So, not to get defensive or anything, but it's really, like I say, I need someone else to do a better tour than ours, and and then they could put me out of business, but no one has yet.
Bang for the buck, Warped Tour is still the best show on earth.
Yeah,
so much going on.
And becoming a Warped Roadies, it's hard to just become someone we're going to hire for your first tour. A little experience. The new kids that are getting jobs on the tour, most of them, we've seen them working for some of the bands out on the road, and we recognize their hard work ethic, and we invite them to be part of the tour. It's also hard because so many people want to come back and keep doing it each summer, because it's still the funnest tour funnest. I don't know if that's the right thing, but it's one of the most enjoyable tours for the people that embrace it. It's not for everyone. A lot of people, we take a little hard flack from some other tours about Warped Tour cruise, but, we make the best of it, and that's why people enjoy coming back to it.
Now, we're getting down to the last episode of Warped Roadies this week. How many more announcements are there before we fire up on the tour?
Oh, gosh, we're going to be announcing bands early into April, it looks like. We'll have, I think, an announcement like that first week of April, so we've still got over a month of announcements coming up, and some extra announcements on Mondays that we're adding in. So, I'd say another 30, 40 bands, something like that, and some other special announcements to make.
Nice. Cody from Mansalona wants to know if there will be more rap on the tours coming up.
More rap? There's some rap out there. We've got some rap to announce. There's, maybe 4 or 5 rap artists out there. It's funny with rap, people go, rap, and I go, well, it's funny, a lot of the people that don't, or maybe listening, didn't realize that, I've always embraced rap, everyone from Ice-T to Black Eyed Peas to Kool Keith to Eminem's got it started out on the Warped Tour. That was his first big national tour. The rap stuff, and we bring it out, it's the stage spots, and we're trying to be as eclectic as possible on the Warped Tour, so we're trying to cover a wide range of genres of music. So there'll be some. I've got some cool announcements, some people I really like a lot coming up in the next couple of weeks.
We've been enjoying Beebs on Warped Roadies, and we're looking forward to catching them in Detroit.
Yeah, she's cool. I just was down in Florida speaking this weekend, and we went fishing for a day. I took her fishing, and that her story is very dynamic in the sense that she has done it herself. I mean, if someone really wants to watch it, you could take the music out. I love the music. Her voice, she's got a super strong voice. But if a young band wants to learn about a work ethic, the person to talk to is Beebs. I mean, she's done everything herself. There's some good news that since last summer, she's now earned herself an agent. She's got herself, and she's going out and touring with the Real Big Fish. She's picking up tours, and no one's handed anything to her. I guess the closest thing she would say is me giving her a chance to come out on the Warped Tour was something she didn't expect, but she made the best of it.
Now, we get a lot of questions constantly. Hey, can you talk to Kevin about my band? Can you do this? Can you do that? How do we get on Warped Tour? Well, the thing is you listen to the submissions that come in, and there's still the kevinwarped@aol.com that you can submit songs to.
Yeah.
It's you and your partners that listen to this. It's the kids. It's the people that drive the market. What's changed in the 20 years for picking bands as opposed to when you started out?
Well, I think the talent. I mean, there's so much good talent, all kind of at an equal level out there. There's so many good things. The coolest thing, again, that I like what's going on is that I'm pretty much only dealing with independent labels again. We've gone full cycle. Now it's fun to be able to work with the Used and Yellow Card and these bands as they're indie artists now, just like a NoFX or Bad Religion was. When I was starting, and those are my peers. But these were the next generation, and this is kind of it's strange for us to say, but now these are the elder statesmen of Warped when you see Yellow Card or obviously Less Than Jake, but they're a band that you still, everyone, they're the band that, them and Real Big Fish are completely cross-generational, and you've got their old fans and their young fans, and they've been able to bridge that. But you still listen for a good song. I listen for people who are making waves on a local level that could potentially use a boost by coming out on the Warped Tour. And I try to support my friends who own the Rises and the Hopeless and Fears and those Fearless Records and things, and try to support those guys now, because if I can support those guys, and you'll see a lot of them out there this year. They had some influence this year on one of Kevin Says stage. I wanted to give them a chance to show me who the next headliners should be on the Warped Tour, and maybe we can get on that cycle where we bring them back 2-3 years down the road, and we're developing those bands like A Day to Remember, or Sleeping with Sirens, or Paramore, or the My Chemical Romances of now. But we need to work together to get there.
Well, there's so much going on. I just want to touch real quick. Any big plans for Mayhem and the Throwdown this year?
Well, Mayhem, we're getting ready to make the announcement on that. We do have a lineup. We're going out on the road with that this year. We've got some really cool things going on with AP Magazine on an event that'll be announced very soon. Getting ready to work. I'm working on the European levels. Throwdown won't be going out in this year. We made some changes, and I need to stay a little more focused. I've been involved with this beer company this year that we've been launching, and doing a lot of student speaking in colleges. keeps my days full. And I just had breakfast with my wife, and I wrote down my day, and she goes, "You're always busy, and you're always doing a million things."
And, of course, Vans Warped Tour is here at the Palace of Auburn Hills on July 18th.
Yeah, let's. Always exciting. You guys always make a good episode of Warped Roadies with something.
Hopefully we don't have the storm we had last year.
I know. It's one of those things that there were some decisions to be made that day, and I think we made the right ones. And we getting that show in, and I watched that episode of the show and watched the footage because for every minute you see out there, there was 50 minutes shot,
right?
And that day was a little hectic, and everyone held on, and the fans were awesome, and everyone jumping up in the arena and hanging out while we got through that. It kind of makes what the Warp community is all about. Everyone pulls together. It's not it's not just one person. It's the crews, it's the people, it's the fans understanding and cooperating and being kind of cool, and that's kind of what drives me to want to be out there every summer. Come out on the road, see people. Now I'm seeing multi-generationals of people in each city I'm going to, and kind of around it's weird. You always touch on a Warped Road. You can watch it and go, okay, and then it ends today. But then you realize in 4 months we'll be hitting the road for our 20th summer.
We lived through that last year. That last year, of course, was the first year we had a vendor tent on, and we were between that and helping out at the Victory tent as well. When we got there and the winds were still pretty high and where there was only one other booth next to ours when we set up, so we duct taped together to make sure our tents stayed down, and by the time we got finished up and the gates were open, we had a cube of 6 tents in our area. Everybody tied off to each other and holding things down, but as the day wore on, just before the storm blasted, we actually cut our tent free and packed up simply because we didn't want to head off to Oz. But a great day altogether, and I'm hoping this year that we're involved in the same way and that we have good positioning like last year, because every band I wanted to see, I didn't have to get someone to man the tent. I could sit at the tent and watch them at the same time.
Just kind of hang back in there, and this year we're looking forward to seeing you, and it's always a great show up there in Detroit.
And we are looking forward to the rest of the announcements. Kevin, I'd like to thank you once again for taking the time to talk to us. I know you're super busy, and we always enjoy talking to you and finding out what's going on and just giving the kids a little heads up ahead of time. Again, thanks for all the great music and all the great tours that come through here. We definitely appreciate your outstanding work in the music community.
Oh, yes, and thank you for always having me on the show.
We'd like to thank Kevin once again. Everybody, thanks for hanging out. Warped Tour is here at the Palace of Auburn Hills on July 18th, and the Rockstar Energy Mayhem Fest will be at DTE on the 17th of July. If you need any of that information, you can go to the respective websites, and we'll have all the links here in the thing. Kevin, thanks again.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you very soon. Everybody have a great day.
This program was powered by Verdio.net. Verdio.net, optimizing your brand and web presence worldwide. Verdio.net, be heard, be seen, be found.
The thoughts and opinions expressed on this program may or may not reflect those of O.D. Productions, but the content of this program is ours. Feel free to share and repost it, but kindly leave the links and code intact.